Okay, here we go. My name is Virginia McClain. I am an independent author, and you can find my books in a number of places online. But today I'm going to be reading from the very first book in my urban fantasy series, the Victoria Marmot series. It's a humorous urban fantasy series. It's largely satire. There's a lot of trope twists. And I think you'll get a decent sense of it from the opening here. My plan is to read a chapter a day from now until the end of the book. It's 30 some odd chapters, so it's basically a month's worth of daily read-alongs. I'll post links to the book itself below, so if you want to grab a copy so that you can read ahead, or read on your own or whatever, that's fine. But also perfectly cool if you are just enjoying the free read. Yeah, that's what it's here for. Hoping that this will help make everyone's attempt to stay the F home a little bit easier. So, without further ado, I'll get into it. I will say one thing as we start. There's a bit of a funky thing going on with the narration at the beginning, and I'm going to do some voices. Stick around even if you find it mildly off-putting at the start, and then if you by the end of the chapter you don't like what you hear, you'll have a good sense of things. But but yeah, here we go. So this is Victoria Marmot and the Meddling Goddess, which is book 1 of the 5-book long urban fantasy series. Victoria Marmot was unrolling her sleeping bag in a quiet mountain glade, the clearing surrounded by tall pines and a single oak, with branches that gave it a shape rather like a hooded person carrying a scythe. Hello? She paused, as though unsure of where to find the best view of the star-filled night sky. Who is saying that? Her chestnut hair barely reflected the starlight, her mint-green eyes flashing with confusion as her caramel skin darkened to the color of milk chocolate with her increasing ire. Who the F is hiding in the woods, describing me like a damn dessert? She stared furiously into the woods, unable to ascertain the origin of the mysterious voice, even as she reached for the knife on her belt. I will put a damn blade through the origin of the voice if it doesn't show itself right effing now. Well, that seems uncalled for. Who said that? I did. And, with a dramatic flourish few possess, a beautiful milk-skinned redhead appeared in the forest before the young adventurer. Okay, crazy naked nutjob, please stop narrating every damn thing that happens and go away. I can't. That's my job. I'm your narrator. With another flourish, the graceful redhead produced a fabulous set of deerskin leathers and a flowing blouse to highlight her gorgeous figure. I don't need a narrator. Thank you for putting clothes on. And what the actual fuck is going on right now? Are you a hologram or something? So tetchy. You do need a narrator. You're on an adventure. I'm on my weekly backpacking trip. I do this specifically to avoid people, especially people who refer to themselves in the third person, so please go back to whatever asylum you escaped from and leave me alone. I was about to enjoy some stargazing before falling into a blissfully exhausted sleep. You come out here every week to find a sense of normalcy after losing your parents in a freak boating accident 6 months ago, and don't pretend that you're ever exhausted enough to sleep properly since you lost your family. Victoria's jaw hung open as she stared at the glorious redhead who seemed poised to turn all her carefully constructed escapism on its head. I know what my jaw is doing. You don't have to say it out loud. There's no one else here to hear you. And how in the 7 hells do you know anything about me or my parents? I told you, I'm your narrator. I'm supposed to be omniscient. I know everything about you, even things that you don't know about yourself. That doesn't make any sense. Why would I have a narrator? I'm not a character in a book. I'm a teenager trying to enjoy a nice little solo backpacking trip for the weekend. I do not need a psychotic hologram following me through the woods and analyzing me. I need to go to sleep, preferably after catching the start of the meteor shower tonight. You do need a narrator, because you are embarking on a great adventure. I'm backpacking on the side of freaking Mount Humphreys. That is not a great adventure. It's a day hike that I'm drawing out as long as possible because I didn't have enough time to drive very far this weekend. Why on earth would this trip warrant a narrator? And seriously, even if you can answer that question, why the would I believe that you are my narrator and not just some crazy woman who likes to wander the woods and freak out nature enthusiasts by popping up naked in front of them? Gwen carefully shaped her mouth into an attractive pout. I can see you doing it. I do not need you to tell me about it. I'm not saying it for you. I'm saying it for them. Who is them? There is no one else here, and if anyone were here, they would be able to see you too, so you do not need to narrate it. Unless you've brought a bunch of blind people here. Are there blind people hiding in this forest now too? Victoria threw a concerned glance at the woods that surrounded the small clearing where she'd unrolled her thermarest and sleeping bag. Dude, seriously? Are you going to keep doing that? It is creeping me the F out. Someone has to narrate this story. I can't just leave it unsaid, or they'll have no idea what's happening. Then who? No, wait. You know what? Never mind. Fuck it. We're not getting anywhere that way. You said someone has to narrate the story. Does that someone have to be you? I suppose not. Could that someone be me? I suppose. I hate first-person narration. It seems like something only an angsty teen would do. Okay, Miss Literati, sorry to burst your critical bubble, but first-person point of view is a perfectly valid form of narrated style, so you and your angsty teen comments can suck it. I'm only saying, what were you going to do for the parts inside my head? What? When it got to the parts where I think something important to the story, how were you going to narrate that? Italics, I suppose. Why? Just wondering if I could do the narration job with just my thoughts, without saying everything I'm doing aloud to avoid sounding like an insane person. You keep throwing around those insane accusations. I'll have you know that's very offensive to sufferers of mental illness who are often very productive members of society. Fine, you're right. I'm sorry. I know lots of people with mental health issues who are great and decidedly not insane, but I don't know how else to describe someone who can't let go of an alternate reality that differs substantially from observable fact. I would call that person stuck in a dimensional pocket, but that's neither here nor there. What? Never mind. Look, can I narrate in my head or not? Yes, I suppose that would work just fine. Fine. Then make me the narrator. Gwen looked uncomfortable for a moment, as though that were a decision she did not wish to make. Would you please stop? And then she did, thank fuck. I no longer had to hear the delusional woman in front of me describe each of her own actions in detail. Thank you, I said. I wasn't sure if I was the one narrating now, but I didn't really care. I had just wanted her to cut that the F out. It was incredibly eerie to have someone describe your every move aloud, and it had been making it difficult to think. Okay, so can you go away now? I asked, still unsure of whether or not I could even stay behind once this character left. I didn't know what a person with delusions like this was likely to do, and I didn't really feel like getting stabbed to death in my sleep. Despite what I'd acknowledged about lovely people with serious mental health problems, all true, I didn't know this woman at all, and a tiny percentage of people with mental health issues really were unhinged and dangerous. The unhinged and dangerous ones likely just needed better therapists and the right meds, but that wasn't going to make me any less dead if Gwen were one of them and found herself unable to resist the voices telling her to take my head as a trophy. Well, I'm afraid I haven't quite taken care of my role this evening, Gwen said, startling me out of my dark imaginings of her waving my bloody severed head in the wind. I was your narrator, but I have another purpose too. Tonight, mainly, it's to get you started on your quest. My quest? Yes, your quest. And with that statement, the leathers she was wearing somehow became a flowing gown that definitely brought forth Lady of the Lake style imagery, all flowing blue silks and shit. The DM was supposed to show up for this, but he ran into a scheduling conflict, and since I was going to be here anyway, I offered to help out. The DM? Are you kidding me? Is this whole thing just an elaborate role-playing game? I mean, honestly, that explains just about everything, including the sudden costume changes. But seriously, you need to let people know when they're going to be part of a LARPing event. Just showing up naked and calling yourself the narrator. No, no, no. The DM is just the name he goes by now. He's like one of the original Fates, actually. Just likes to keep up with the times. Anyway, he can't make it tonight, so I suppose it doesn't really matter. The Fates? Seriously? You expect me to believe... Gwen raised her voice and kept on going, as though I'd never interjected. And I'm supposed to tell you... She cleared her throat. Yes? Are you finally listening? Will it make you go away? Yes. Then I'm listening. Your quest, Victoria Adelaide Marmot, is to find out what really happened to your parents. And then, I shit you not, she literally disappeared. Yes, literally, not figuratively, and not as some asshats misuse literally to mean very. She straight up evaporated into nothing. Where once she had stood, there was now empty space, and there was no trace of her in any direction. She hadn't even snapped her fingers. So, thoroughly shitting my pants, figuratively, of course, I packed up my overnight pack and booked it the hell back to my car. I was freaked out enough by her disappearing act to run away, but the thing that spooked me most was how much she had known about my weekend adventures and the real reason behind them. She had been right on the money. I ran into the wilderness every weekend because it was the only place I could find a semblance of peace in a world that had snatched my parents away from me over a year before I would graduate high school. And now, some lady who liked to stalk people in the woods and describe them like tasty snacks had shown up, known about my parents' deaths, and implied that they hadn't died the way I thought they did. And that was more than I could fucking take tonight. That's the end of chapter 1. I will be back tomorrow with chapter 2. I hope you enjoyed that. It's meant to be funny. I hope it actually was. And yeah, if it provided you any amount of entertainment, then please share it around and let everybody see it. I really am just looking to entertain folks while all of this stuff is going on. You might be able to hear my daughter laughing in the background. She's watching a movie. I am sorry if that distracted anybody at all. I'm hoping that having this mic has helped with that. Hopefully it didn't rub too much against my shirt while I was reading. Anyway, I'll be back tomorrow with chapter 2, and we'll just keep going until this is done. For any of the really short chapters, I might read 2 chapters in a day. We'll see. But I'll try to keep these videos to about 15 minutes each. And I think that's about it. Thanks so much for watching. Throw me a like and a subscribe if you feel like it. I don't usually do a ton of YouTube stuff, but I'm starting it back up again because work from home and trying to keep people smiling. So anyway, take care of yourselves out there and stay safe, and I'll see you tomorrow.